Welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be doing a stock analysis on Sarepta Therapeutics. Now, if you don't know Sarepta Therapeutics, it is a medicine company that primarily focuses on muscular dystrophy diseases, which means, say, you're growing up and you lose your muscles because your body is eating them. That is what they are trying to make sure that doesn't happen. And they do this via gene editing. This is simply by taking your genes and then editing these numbers and letters in your gene, which means that some of the enzymes you might produce or might don't produce actually then arrives because your body will be able to produce them. So they actually change your gene code or something within your genes, which makes you able to produce it. Now, the reason I'm highlighting this stock today is because just today a person died and he was receiving treatment for this. As you can see today, the stock is down 27.4% in the market and it is already falling in the post market. Now, of course, we don't know if they had anything to do with their muscular dystrophy medicine, but the person did die of acute liver syndrome failure, and he was receiving, I believe it's called Elevin, their drug, their newest DMD. I will call it DMD now. It's Dutch muscular dystrophy syndrome. So yeah, DMD for short. It's much easier to pronounce. He did receive medicine for DMD, and it is known to be toxic for the liver. Now, I think this is quite poor for the company, to be honest, because look at the track record. It has been performing. It had been performing quite nicely all the way up in 160. Then having a bit of a rough ending. You can see this from the middle of last year and peaking, and then having a bit of a rough half year, and finally down here around 100, regaining some momentum. Then again, sadly falling. It is quite a volatile stock. This is quite important to remember. Then again falling, and we had this death cross, and we did have this slow descent all the way towards 100, and then today, as you can see, we are trading all the way down here at 73.5. And the reason I said this is quite sad is because look at their financials down here. This is the first, last year was the first year they were in the green or in the black. So it's quite unfortunate that a medicine company like this, which makes medicine in order to help people, and then within the first year of them actually being in the money, a patient dies that has currently been receiving that treatment. Of course, as I said, we don't know and we can't speculate if they had anything to do with his death, but it is quite odd that a known symptom, not a symptom, but knowing that their drug can be toxic for the liver and then he dies of acute liver failure is quite unfortunate. Of course, I won't comment on it anymore unless someone rules if they either had something to do with it or if they don't. Now, if we take a look at the graph itself, you can see it is a bit of a choppy stock. As you can see down here, RSI, we also have quite much volatility trading up and down, up and down. I don't like this quite a lot, and also you can see something that is quite poor for technical analysis is gaps in the stock. As you're going to notice here, you can see this little green line right up here. It doesn't connect to the rest of the graph down here. This is called a gap, and it makes technical analysis quite a lot harder, and we see that quite often in the stock. You also see it right here, you see it right here, and you also see it right here, and then of course you see it today right here where you can see it completely falls off. So that makes it is a known characteristic of companies that trade a very high volatility. Now, as you can see previously, we have been all the way up 164, so this one right here is not an outlier. It has been a quite stable company, gaining and falling, but again, the thing I don't like about it is these gaps. Now, if we take a look at the earnings per share, as you can see here, it actually beat it quite nicely. As you can see here, it beat it by 2,000%, which is insane. Again, 150% and 500%. So it had a quite nice year last year, and then it missed by 20% here, but that is unfortunate. But as you can see, how they estimated they would be losing $0.08 per share, and they actually made. Then the quarter after, they made 1.50 US dollars per share. Even though they missed it, to be honest, I really don't care about that. Just the fact that it is that high of a jump is quite nice to me personally. And as I said here, as you can see annually, you can see that their revenue is growing and growing and growing, and then they finally have nice income, and they actually have a margin of around 12%, which is quite nice. Now, quarterly here, you can see nice quarters all over. They actually end up Q4 in 2023 with 11% margin and making money quite nice. We did have Q2, which was not that great, but hey, every quarter can't be equally great. Now, the seasonals for this company hasn't been that amazing, to be honest. As you can see, some years we have had quite large drops, both in 23 and 25. Of course, 25 today is also due to the unfortunate death, but as you can see, also prior to that, it had been falling this year. Let me just make it easier to see. As you can see, this year alone, it didn't perform that well. Now, some years we do have had quite nice performance, as you can see in 22, 2020, 24, 2019, and 2018. Now, I want to remark it made quite nice strides in 22, which is incredibly amazing because even though they didn't make any money, hardly any company came out of 22 with positive stocks. So yeah, they were almost every single one was down for the year. Now for the technical analysis on this, it is horrid, to be honest. As you can see for the day, strong sell, but then if I do this, the month, it hardly changes. It is still a very strong sell. As you can see down here, the only simple moving average we have that's buy is the 200. So yeah, it is quite poor at the moment, quite poor as you can see. I would not jump into this stock anytime soon, at least not until there has been a verdict whether or not their drug had anything to do with the unfortunate death that happened today. But the technicals is absolutely appalling in this stock. Now, if I want to make it a bit bigger, so you can, let me see if I can draw some lines here that makes it a bit easier to see. As you can see, this is where we're trading currently, right here. Now, that is actually at a support line right here. As you can see, we do have some bottoms and tops here, but if that cracks, before we have another actual support line, we need to go all the way down here to 30, which is quite insane. But just given how unstable the market is at the moment, and then with this unfortunate death, I really don't know what is possible at this moment. So if it breaks with this point right here and goes all the way through here, well, we do have a very small and very volatile support line right here. As you can see, this top right here, some would call that a support line. Also because we do have, again, as you can see, a bottom here that is related to it. So you could argue that, but it is a very weak support line if you ask me. So I would take that into consideration before making an actual decision whether or not this line right here, that's hard difficult to see. Let me make it a different color. Before this line right here, the orange one, if you would actually use that for your analysis. So if it breaks through this blue one right here, the other proper support line is all the way down here at 33. So quite unfortunate. Now the analyst is quite positive on this. As you can see here, we have one strong sell, 18 strong buys, 3 buys, 2 hold. I think it might actually be on the dot on this one because the only thing they're making right now is within muscular dystrophy, which means you're going to be losing your muscle. It is a not quite common, but it is a relatively common occurring disease. It is quite hard to cure. There's hardly anything to cure it, but I know that they have actually made something that at least helps people with the muscle dystrophy syndromes that actually gain some of the muscle backs or won't lose at least as much as they otherwise would as fast. So I think whenever this has calmed down quite a bit, and once they have had a golden cross or had a bit more momentum, maybe I'm gonna buy just a smidge of a stock in this, but I'm not sure at the moment. So yeah, quite interesting, quite unfortunate, of course, for every stockholder today. Have had a quite poor day, of course, but yeah, it is a nice company given the fact that they actually make a drug that works, and I try to find anyone in their field at their size that actually also make drugs for muscular dystrophy, and I didn't find a single one with their capacity that actually made money. So I think it is a niche, but it is a quite small market. So yeah, of course you need to have your considerations before buying this stock. But right now I wouldn't get anywhere close. As you can see, it has actually fallen just doing these 5 minutes. It has fallen even more in the post market. So yeah, be a bit careful at the moment. If you did like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe.